On a typical bustling day at Buckingham Palace, the square in front of the royal gates was alive with the usual blend of excitement, awe, and anticipation. Tourists from around the world gathered along the White Line, the invisible boundary meant to preserve order and tradition. Children waved Union Jack flags with wide-eyed wonder, parents snapped photos, and tour guides spoke animatedly about the centuries-old traditions of the Royal Guard. The palace stood proudly under the British morning sun, and the scarlet-clad guards, with their tall bearskin hats and unflinching posture, offered a picture of timeless discipline and national pride. Among the line of guardsmen stood a young soldier, his gaze fixed firmly ahead, embodying the solemnity and dignity of British military tradition. The crowd moved in respectful admiration, at least most of them did. Amid this respectful scene emerged a woman who clearly did not share the same sense of decorum. Dressed in a bright yellow coat and laughing loudly, she began to draw attention to herself in all the wrong ways. Her voice cut through the gentle buzz of the crowd, and her presence marked the beginning of a moment that would transform a peaceful morning into a powerful lesson in respect, honor, and tradition. As the morning unfolded with its usual elegance, the calm atmosphere was disrupted by a woman who appeared determined to make herself the center of attention. Dressed in a bright yellow coat, her loud laughter and dismissive tone instantly drew the crowd's eyes. She began to ridicule the solemnity of the Royal Guard, treating the moment not as a historical tradition, but as a comedy sketch. "Is this a museum? Where's the emotion?" she called out mockingly. Ignoring the white boundary line that most tourists respected instinctively, she stepped dangerously close to a young guard, who remained perfectly still despite the growing tension. With a mocking smile, she filmed herself with the stoic soldier in the background, continuing to taunt him like he was part of a carnival act rather than a symbol of national service. When her words failed to provoke a reaction, she escalated. She touched his uniform with feigned curiosity, then patted him on the shoulder. Shock rippled through the onlookers. Murmurs of disrespect grew louder, but she was not finished. Pushing the limits even further, she delivered a light slap to the guard's face. A deliberate act of mockery. The crowd gasped. What had started as foolish banter had now become a blatant violation of personal and ceremonial boundaries. Phones were raised, capturing every moment. Whispers turned to outrage. It was no longer just a scene of poor taste. It had become a direct challenge to the dignity of British tradition. The guard remained composed, unflinching. His ability to endure such provocation, even under public scrutiny, became a quiet but powerful display of restraint, discipline, and honor. Just when the crowd thought the young royal guard would continue to endure the woman's outrageous behavior in silence, something unexpected happened that shifted the atmosphere entirely. After enduring relentless mockery and even a slap to the face, the guard, who had stood motionless for several minutes, suddenly took a sharp, deliberate step forward. The impact of that movement was as striking as a thunderclap. The square fell into stunned silence. Gasps spread through the crowd as the seemingly immovable symbol of discipline came to life with purpose. His voice, calm but commanding, rang out across the cobbled square. "Ma'am, you have crossed the permitted boundary. Step back immediately." That short, precise statement carried the weight of centuries-old tradition and authority. The woman, once bold and smug, froze. Her grin vanished, replaced by wide-eyed disbelief. She took an uneasy step back, muttering defensively, "Oh, come on, I was just joking." But the crowd wasn't buying it. A security officer, dressed in a crisp black uniform, approached with resolute steps. Without raising his voice, he directed the woman to leave the area. Under the weight of judgmental glances and murmurs from onlookers, she complied, her former arrogance now reduced to quiet retreat. The crowd, which had been holding its collective breath, erupted into applause, not for the woman's antics, but in support of the guard's professionalism and restraint. "That's how it's done," someone shouted. People clapped not because they had witnessed drama, but because they had seen dignity upheld in the face of disrespect. Cameras continued to roll, but now the narrative had shifted. The guard, having returned to his post, stood still once again as if nothing had happened. Yet, to those watching, he was no longer just a silent figure in uniform. He had become a quiet symbol of strength. His poised reaction reminded everyone that honor doesn't require aggression. It only needs conviction. In that moment, he wasn't just guarding a palace, he was defending values, discipline, respect, and the traditions so many often take for granted. Just a few hours after the incident at Buckingham Palace, video clips recorded from dozens of smartphones quickly spread across social media. The woman in the yellow coat became the focal point of criticism, while the guard was hailed as a model of dignity and discipline. On platforms like Facebook, X, Twitter, and YouTube, thousands of comments from people in Canada, the UK, and many other parts of the world poured in. Many praised the calmness and steadfastness of the soldier, arguing that he embodied the spirit of a national honor guard. "This is truly a soldier," wrote one comment that received thousands of likes. No need for a strong reaction, just one step and one remark is enough to remind the world about respect. Many other social media users also expressed outrage over the woman's rude behavior. Traveling does not mean you have the right to insult others. Culture and tradition must be respected. The story did not end with a viral video. It sparked a larger debate about public behavior, the limits of humor, and above all, the lesson of respect. For many, especially the elderly who are accustomed to traditional norms, this incident serves as a reminder that not everything can be made into a joke, especially when the subject is a historical and cultural symbol of a nation. The incident at Buckingham Palace did not just end with an apology or a viral video, it left a profound lesson for the international travel community. After the incident, many people began to reconsider their behavior when visiting iconic and traditional sites, not only in England, but also in Canada and many other countries. Conversations between parents and children about respect and about not dismissing the cultural values of other countries became more common. In particular, this event made many older adults feel hopeful when they saw young people starting to talk more about maintaining a serious attitude in public. The story of the guardsman who did not react with violence, but with composure and decorum, has become a positive role model. In many travel forums and online groups, people began to encourage each other to respect local spaces and people while traveling, viewing it as an important part of global courtesy. The story of the disrespectful woman at Buckingham Palace is not just a tourism incident, it reflects a profound social issue, the undervaluation of traditional values in the modern age. For many older people, this raises concerns about whether the next generation still values fundamental principles of conduct, such as respect, norms, and self-esteem. The Royal Guard, with his calmness and discipline, reminded us that honor doesn't need to be loudly proclaimed. He did not respond with anger, but with a standard that made the viewers reflect. In daily life, we, especially the older generation, can continue to teach our descendants that respect is not something demanded, but a value to be lived and shared, whether in the family, in society, or when traveling abroad. Behaving appropriately is the way to express culture and dignity, something that is never out of date, no matter how much the era may change.